There's a difference between being loud and being strong. Some people think strength means dominating a room, speaking over others, or having the last word in every conversation. But in my experience, true strength has very little to do with volume and everything to do with values, clarity, and presence. Strong people don't always say much, but when they do speak, they tend to use phrases that leave a mark. Their words reflect a steady core, confidence without arrogance, firmness without cruelty. Over the years, I've come to recognize certain phrases that quietly point to a strong personality. If you find yourself saying these things regularly, chances are you're not just strong. You're the kind of person others rely on when things get hard. Let's get into no. Thank you. Saying no doesn't always come easy, especially when you're trying to please others or keep the peace. But people with strong personalities don't over-explain or dance around their boundaries. They say no clearly, kindly, and without guilt. I remember a woman I worked with in the late 90s, smart as a whip and calm under pressure. One day, she was asked to join a project she didn't believe in. She simply said, "No, thank you. That's not a good fit for me." No excuses, no drama, just clarity. I admired her instantly. Let's agree to disagree. Strong people don't need everyone to think like them. They're comfortable with differing opinions. They know that walking away from an argument doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. When you say, "Let's agree to disagree," you're showing that you value the relationship more than being right. I've used this phrase in more than a few heated family dinners. Sometimes it's the only thing that keeps Thanksgiving civil. That's not acceptable. This is one of those phrases that draws a line in the sand. It's not reactive. It's not angry. It's firm, clear. It says, I know what my values are, and I'm not going to compromise them to make you more comfortable. Whether you're shutting down rude behavior, calling out disrespect, or standing up for someone else, this phrase signals quiet strength. I take responsibility for that. Now here's a big one. It takes guts to admit when you've dropped the ball. But strong personalities don't shy away from owning their part in something going wrong. They don't deflect or blame. They take responsibility and then they take action. I've mentioned this before, but I once messed up a schedule that left one of my team members working a double shift. Instead of making excuses, I told him, "That's on me. I'm fixing it today." It built more trust than any apology alone could have. This isn't working for me. A phrase like this can be hard to say, especially in relationships, friendships, or long-term arrangements. But strong people know how to check in with themselves. They don't wait until things hit a breaking point. They speak up when something feels off. I once had to say this to a friend I'd known for 15 years. Our dynamic had changed. It felt one-sided, and I found myself dreading our conversations. When I finally said, "This isn't working for me anymore," it wasn't easy, but it was honest. And that's the thing about strong personalities. They prioritize truth over comfort. I'm listening. You might not expect this one on a list like this, but hear me out. Strong people aren't just talkers. They're listeners. They know when to stop offering advice and just hold space for someone else. When they say, "I'm listening," they mean it. They're not waiting for their turn to speak. They're present, focused, engaged. And that kind of listening, it's rare and powerful. Help me understand instead of assuming or accusing. People with strong personalities ask for clarity. They're curious, not combative. This phrase signals emotional intelligence and self-restraint, two things that come with true inner strength. I remember using this with my teenage daughter once when she came home way past curfew. Instead of starting with, "What were you thinking?" I asked, "Help me understand what happened tonight." We still had a conversation about consequences, but we also kept the door open for trust. I need some time to think about it. Strong people don't rush decisions. They know that urgency often leads to regret. This phrase shows self-awareness. It tells others that you take commitments seriously and that you won't say yes just to avoid discomfort, whether it's a job offer, a big purchase, or even a difficult conversation. This little pause can save a lot of trouble down the road. 9. That's not who I am. This phrase shows integrity. It's what you say when someone tries to pressure you into something that doesn't align with your values, whether it's gossip, dishonesty, or going along with the crowd. Strong people know who they are, and they don't bend for approval. I once heard a man say this when someone at a party tried to egg him into mocking someone else. He smiled and said, "That's not who I am." It wasn't dramatic, but it was rock solid. 10. Thank you, but I'll do it my way. Strong personalities don't mind input, but they trust themselves most. They can take advice graciously and still follow their own gut. This phrase is confidence without arrogance. It says, I hear you, but I know what's best for me. It reminds me of a time I wanted to retire early and people thought I was crazy. I appreciated their concern, but I knew it was the right call. I said, thanks for the perspective, but I'm going to do this my way. And I've never looked back. Final thought, strong people don't need to announce themselves. You can tell by the way they speak, calmly, clearly, with intention. So here's the question. How many of these phrases show up in your daily conversations, and which ones are you ready to start using? Because sometimes the strongest voice in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one that knows exactly what it stands for